After the group was split up from the governor's attack on the prison, they all focused on trying to find a new place to live. The obvious candidate was this place called Terminus, which had tons of different signs telling people that there was a sanctuary for all that arrived. Of course, we quickly found that this wasn't true, and the inhabitants of Terminus had other plans for those that arrived. While the group was reunited with one another, the circumstances were less than amazing. But this is Rick Grimes we're talking about here.
They're fucking with the wrong people.
In this video, I'm going to be recapping the episode No Sanctuary, and then going over why I love it so much and why it sticks out as one of The Walking Dead's greatest episodes. We start off the episode with a flashback with the current inhabitants of Terminus locked away in a train car. It's evident that some bad people have come and taken over Terminus, and someone says that they never should have put up the signs. Gareth says that they were trying to do something good, but it's clearly gone in a different direction. Then we switch back to the present time with our group in the train car, with a bit of a montage of characters having important conversations about where they've been for the past 8 episodes. They're also using clever tactics to try and make weapons out of whatever they have on them. They prepare for a fight when a smoke grenade drops in from above, rendering all their work useless, and a few of them are brought inside. What follows is perhaps one of the most graphic scenes in the entire series, and that's saying something for The Walking Dead. They line them up over a feeding trough, all of them tied up. Rick eyes a person from the end of the trough, seeing that he looks a bit familiar. The Terminus people then go down the line, hitting the red shirts with a bat and then slitting their throats. Gareth walks in and Bob unsuccessfully attempts to reason with him. Gareth turns to Rick to ask him what was in the big bag that he hid in the woods. Rick tells them about what weapons there are, citing a red machete because that's the weapon he's going to use to kill Gareth. Just as they're about to resume the killing, an explosion sounds from outside, shaking the entire building. After the intro, we switch over to Carol and Tyrese, who are approaching Terminus when a herd of walkers sneaks up on them, which happens a surprisingly large amount in this show, I should say. Gunfire attracts the walkers away, and Carol and Tyrese continue on. They run into someone from Terminus and capture him, forcing him to tell them what's happened to their friends. He says that the kid and the samurai are captured because they attacked first, but Carol doesn't believe it, so she starts to come up with a plan. She takes a bag of fireworks off the Terminus guy and uses the clever Walker Guts tactic and heads over to Terminus. Carol sees Rick, Glenn, and Daryl being dragged into a building as the herd of walkers closes in on the compound. Carol shoots at a gas tank and sets up an extremely well-placed firework as it goes off and explodes the tank that all the walkers are around. The walkers start attacking the compound, and a disguised Carol walks right in there with them. Gareth leaves the room, and the other 2 termites start arguing, giving Rick enough time to escape and kill them both, freeing the others. Back in the train car, the others grow impatient, hearing everything going on outside and wanting in on the action. Carl and Maggie assure everyone that the others will be back, and they have to be ready to fight when they get there. Amidst the chaos, Carol continues her killing spree against the termites. Rick, Glenn, Bob, and Daryl escape the room, Rick telling Bob not to kill the termites, but to let them turn. They come across a train car with someone trapped inside, and Glenn says that they have to rescue them because that's still who they are. It has to be. Rick reluctantly agrees and lets out this crazed dude who immediately gets bit. Carol walks around the compound and finds the lost and found room where she takes Daryl's crossbow with her. Rick and the group talk about their plan to get back to the train car as several termites come around with guns to take out the walkers. Rick takes one of them out, taking his gun and killing the other termites. Carol wrestles with the woman from Terminus and wins the battle, where the woman tells Carol that this place was once an actual sanctuary, but others came and took it over. But they fought and took it back, saying you're either the butcher or the cattle. Carol wants to know where her friends are, but the woman only speaks in riddles, so she shoots the woman in the leg and opens the door, letting her be devoured by walkers. Back in the train car, the others want to hear about the cure that Eugene knows about, so he tells them some sort of vague answer when the train car opens, but it's actually Rick and the others. They all fight their way out of Terminus and escape into the woods. Rick finds their bag of guns and tells them all that they're going to go back and take out each and every last one of them. Everyone talks him down because they made it out alive and walkers will take care of the rest. The conversation is interrupted when Carol joins the group. Daryl runs over and gives her a warm welcome, and then Rick thanks her. She says that he has to come with her, and she leads them back to Tyrese and Judith, where Rick and Carl break down at the sight of someone they thought was dead. The group decides to leave, and Rick takes the mud off the ground to write "No" above the sanctuary sign, letting people know that Terminus was a lie. At the end of the episode, we get a flashback to Gareth and the termites, and the people who took the place over, who we see is actually the crazy man that Rick let out of the train car. Gareth gives a small speech about how they'll be back, and then in a post-credit scene, we see Morgan is close on the tail of Rick Grimes. There are so many great things about this episode. For one, this has to be the most eventful opening episode in the series. This episode really feels like a finale of sorts, but it just wraps up the location of Terminus in a single episode. None of this was expected, especially from the trailers, but more on that later. The episode starts off with one of the most graphic scenes in the entire series, and it really sets the tone for the rest of the episode and season as a whole. We have seen some gruesome things in this show at this point, but I remember watching this on TV and thinking, wow, this is crazy that they're actually taking it to this level. Rick recognizes the guy at the end of the trough as Sam, someone he and Carol ran into back in season 4, the very same episode that Rick banished Carol from the prison. I think Sam was included here to remind Rick of that day he last saw Carol and how they left on bad terms. But he doesn't have much time to think because Rick needs to find a way for all of them to get out of there. He sees his opportunity and takes it, leaving no room for sympathy for the termites. This episode really is the beginning of the whole feral Rick that everyone knows and loves. It started a bit in the last episode where he kills Joe from the Claimers, but in this episode, Rick is legitimately bloodthirsty. He wants all of the termites to burn, and even after they escape, he wants to go back and finish the rest of them off. This is a Rick that we had never seen before, and the start of most everybody's favorite version of Rick as well. Seeing Carol in this episode really proves how far she's come from the fragile housewife to the one who can free everyone from a compound of cannibals. Her reunion with Daryl is one of the most heartwarming in the series, and her interaction with Rick speaks 1,000 different words at once. It's an apology, forgiveness, thanking, and welcoming all at the same time. The past doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that Carol came back for all of them, even when Rick is the one that banished her in the first place. All of that is forgiven and forgotten here. Rick seeing Sam at the beginning of the episode was a perfect reminder to Rick about Carol, and I think that was a really nice touch to add. There's also a few scenes that I didn't mention about Tyrese and the captured Terminus dude who threatens to kill Judith. I found these scenes a bit unnecessary. All it did was prove to Tyrese that he still needs to kill people, but these scenes didn't really do anything for me, so I left them out of the recap. One of the reasons this episode sticks out as much as it does is actually because of the Comic-Con trailer for this season. The trailer led us to believe that the group would work alongside Terminus to try and find a cure in Washington. When things went sideways in this episode, we were all left wondering what the actual season was going to be about now. This misdirection in the trailers is something I've personally always loved because it takes your mind in a completely new direction than it was going. I don't think of it as false advertisement like some people, and it's actually really refreshing to see trailers that don't give away the plot to an entire season. No Sanctuary was an episode that started off a lot of different things. Number one, it kicked off one of the greatest seasons of The Walking Dead, but it started Rick down this murderous and feral route. It gave us the beginning of the best group of The Walking Dead, and the start of the Terminus Cannibals arc. This arc didn't last very long, but the first 3 episodes of this season were all tremendous in their own ways. For those reasons, No Sanctuary stands as one of my favorite episodes of the series and my favorite season opener in the entire show. Let me know your thoughts on No Sanctuary in the comments below and which episode you want me to cover next. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave it a like and subscribe for more content like this. If you do, then I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.